Okay, so in this video, we're going to wire up the add course and the display all courses buttons. So in part one, we did the add student. In part two, we did display all students. In this part, we're going to do add and display. We're going to do both of these buttons into one video. Because we've already done it once, we can just copy and paste and adapt our code. Okay, so add a course, we've got course code and course name. And display all courses here, we're going to have all the courses that we've added so far. Okay, so that's what we're doing in this video. We're doing the course buttons. Okay. Hope this is useful. Thanks for watching. And in future videos, don't forget we're going to be doing a lot more stuff. We could be doing file I/O, database I/O. We could be doing all sorts of things. So stay tuned and keep following along. And let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Here we go. Okay, so let's kick off with part 3. And in part 3, we're going to be doing add a course and display all courses. So it's going to be very similar to what we did with students. We've got add a student and display all students. Very, very similar. In fact, we could virtually copy and paste and just rename the classes and class fields. We could virtually do that. We won't. We'll create it from scratch just so we're doing it properly. And so what we did in the last 2 videos, we're now going to do in this one video. It's going to be accelerated because you've already done it once. We're just doing it again for different data. Okay, so let's start by creating a new Java class, and this will be course. In other words, the courses a student can take. And that's what we need. Okay, so course. It's going to have. Let's have a look at our student class, and let's copy everything in that. Everything but the public class student. So we'll copy down to the last, inside the last closing brace there, and we'll copy everything. Let's just make it easy on ourselves. We've written the code. If you want to write it from first principles, you can, but I'm going to copy and paste. I've done 3 long videos today. It's been a full day of editing videos and creating videos and recording and mucking around and uploading to YouTube and fighting with YouTube and yeah. So I'm going to copy and paste. I'm an old man. I need some help. Okay. I'm an old man who doesn't get into any clicks or likes or comments on these videos, so there you go. We're in a course class, so it's going to be course, and it's going to be course there. What data should we have for a course? We'll have name. We might have course ID. Will we have that? Let's take out the course ID, and we'll have name and course code. So a code might be something like COIT 1111134. That might be the course code, and the course might be something like maybe object-oriented programming or something like that. Okay, so course code. Every course has got a unique code, and it's entered by the user. With students, we had it auto-allocated, so we're just doing something a little bit different. And then we've got a course name. So some people put course in there as well, so course code and course name in the fields. That's quite okay if you want to do that. I'm just leaving mine short as I can. We've only got 2 fields now, so you don't have to worry about the 3rd field. We've got course code, and it's code, and we've got course name, and it's name and name and name. Don't have email anymore. We don't have last student ID, so that's all gone. So it's just code and name and no email anymore. So we're just trimming down the student class we copied and pasted. That's all. 2 fields. You could add more if you wanted. You could add lecturer or specialists in the university or tutors or whatever you want to do. You could add if you wanted to, although they would probably be different classes. Okay. So we've got name and we've got get code as well. Get code and code. And I like having my methods the same order as my same order they appear in the top. So it's the data fields. So code and then name, always, or code and then name, always that order. Don't have to worry about email anymore. We've got set code. So that we're coming on to the mutators now. Set code, and that takes in a code and sets the class field. So that's where it's set code and set name. Don't have set email anymore. And we've got a 2-string method which takes the code, and I'll assume that's minus 10s, so 10 characters long. And name, No more emails anymore, and we need a semicolon at the end. Okay, so just 2 fields. That's all we're having. Please feel free to add more if you want. I'm just showing you the basic core, minimal application functionality so that you can extend it. That's the whole idea, is that you extend, you explore, you add functionality into all of these classes and add more attributes, data fields and methods, and take it away. This is just the bare minimum to get you started. Okay. So that's our course class. I think that's a pretty good start. That's good enough for us at this stage. Default constructor, parameterized constructor, the accessor methods or the getters, the mutator methods or the setters, because they change class data, and a good old toString down the end there, and we're good to go. So we've got the course class. Okay, now we want to add a scene in for adding courses. So it's going to be very similar to our student ad. We're going to add a course ad. Okay, so right click on the package and go new empty fxml, that one there. Okay, and I want to call mine course add fxml, like we had student add fxml. I'm trying to keep the same sort of standard, same naming standard. Next, we'll create a controller, create a new controller, and we're done. Okay, so there's course add. We've got the course add fxml. So let's double click on that and we'll do some work in SceneBuilder. Okay, and so the first thing I'd like to add, of course, is, well, let's add a button while we're here, and a label for the title of the screen, and it's add a course, just so we'll let the user know what they're doing. I'll change the font to 24, looks like a good one. I like the 24s and bold, and then we'll center it again. There we go. And the button is return to, oh no, we had a whole bunch of buttons, didn't we, for add a student. We had add, or we could call it add student. We could have another one called clear all, and the third one was return to main menu. Return to main menu. Okay, so 3 buttons there. I'm not going to worry about being fiddly about spacing them. If you want to make your user interface prettier than mine, please feel free to go ahead. So the add button there, let's allocate some handles so we can access them from the code. So this is add code, or add course button, and this is clear all button. I think I've got the same names as the add a student, but if I haven't, please feel free to fix them. Return to main menu. So there's our 3 buttons. I'll add the handlers in. Handler, clear all button, handler, and return to main menu. Same thing as we did before. We're just doing it at a slightly accelerated pace. And for adding a course, we've got the 2 fields. We've got course code and course name. So let's add a little bit of a grid in. So it's a container. I'm going to add a grid like we did for student. Add the grid pane, drag it onto the form, resize it. There. And we only want 2 rows. So what I'm going to do is right click on the container and go grid pane and delete. No. We'll come on to that later. We won't worry about the 3rd row. We'll leave it there for now. Okay, so we've got a label, and then some text fields. Text field, not TextArea, text fields. And text fields. And this one here is code. And this one here is name. Okay, so we've got a course code and a course name there. We've got the 3rd row of the table here we could delete. I'm just going to leave it there for now in case we add anything. We might add a combo box later or something later. More fields in later. It's not going to show up on our user interface. That's all we're going to see, so it's not going to hurt us. If you want to move these buttons up and resize the screen, you can as well if you want. I'm not going to worry. I'm going to leave plenty of space there, so I can add things in the future. I don't know where I'm going yet. This is all off the top of my head. I'm just playing it by ear. I'm just thinking, where do I want to go? What do my students need to know? Okay, so we'll save that. Control S. Let's allocate some fields here, some names. So this is text field or code, text field, or course code, and this is name text field, name text field. So maybe we should be calling these student code and a student name and course name and course code. Maybe that should be student course name and course code. Maybe we should be using those names, but we're only using these GUI components. We're only accessing those in one controller, which is our controller for this scene. So there's no ambiguity, but it's probably good to allocate unique names to everything. So that would be course name, course code, student name, student phone, student email for your text fields. Just make it a little bit clearer, but I'm not going to worry about doing that. That's fine. Control list to save. Let's return to NetBeans. We'll right click on the course ad and go make controller, and that refreshes our controller. And double click on that, and you can see there we've got all our class fields that we turned on, all our GUI controls that we turned on, and our handlers down here. Okay, now we know how to do the handlers. Let's have a look at our student ad. All our handlers did was set the text to the text fields. So let's copy that code there and paste it across into a course ad. And paste. And it's name text field and code text field. So I'm keeping them in the same order they are in the data class. Okay. Okay, let's add the return to main menu code, which is again straight from our same code as our student ad. So it's just that code there. Highlight that, Control C, back to our course ad controller, and paste it in there. And we're going to add the throws to our method header. There we go. Let's fix that. So we've got the first two in. Now we're going to do the validation. So we're going to validate course code and course name, and it's very similar to what we do with the student ad. So we're just going to copy all this code here. Even though this isn't the ideal way to do things, I talked about that in a prior video. We should be doing all the validation in the data class and using our own exceptions, but we haven't done those yet. We haven't done that far, gone that far yet, so I can't show you those techniques just yet. So we'll do it this kludgy way, and just keep in mind that for future work, for future assignments, you'll have to do it the nice way where you create your own exceptions and have all the validation done in the data class, because it's responsible for the data. It knows about the data. This GUI or this controller doesn't know what the data is, so it shouldn't be validating it at all. Okay, so this is not ideal code. So let's highlight all that. Get rid of some blank lines. Highlight all that up to there. So I've highlighted everything that's in the ad student, and we'll paste it into the ad course. Go up here to the ad course, and we'll paste it all in here, and then we'll modify it. So we're just saving ourselves some work here. And I won't worry about adding those just yet, because I don't want to add this reference. So let's just cancel that for now, and just leave the paste go ahead. And so we've got name string and code, and the code comes from the code text field, and I'll put that first because our code is first in our. See, I keep everything in the same order. We don't have email anymore, so we need to add another one here for code. If code length is equal to that, then error code. Code cannot be blank. And name. And I think that's all we'll worry about here. There's a whole lot of validations we could do. For example, course codes might need to be 8 digits or 8 characters long with 4 digits and 4 letters or something. Who knows what. So we're just going to do the basic validation that it's not blank. But keep in mind that these validations could be a lot more involved. Okay. So if data's still valid, we'll validate the code, display an error if it's any issues, set data valid to false. If data is still valid, then we'll validate the name and display an error and set data valid to false if there's an error. And if everything's still valid after all those checks, then we'll create a code or a course. And a course C equals new, get out of the way, course. And it's going to pass through a code string and a name string. And I just saw we had the email string still there in the old one, so we'll go back and fix that too. Okay, so we're passing through a code and a name, which is what our constructor expects. It's expecting a code and a name. Righto. And then we're going to create an array called, it's an array of, let's have a look at our ad, and we'll do the same thing as we did there. So it's a static array list, and this one was of students, but this other one over here in the courses controller is going to be of course. And we'll add the array list, yep. And I'll bring that back over. So this is going to be an array of course objects. And it's going to be courses, new courses array list, and it's going to be an array of course. So like I've spoken about previously, you can leave this second one out if you want to. Okay. After Java 7, you can leave it out. I still tend to put it in because I've seen so many students put something over here and something completely mismatching over there. They copied code and haven't updated everything. I put them both in because I'm trying to write bulletproof code that I'm hoping my students will follow in my footsteps and write the same code. Okay, so that's course. We've got an error for Java option pane, then an import for JavaFX.swing, and it's courses array list, course created. What's my array list called? Courses array list. There we go, that's fixed it. Oh, hang on. Add C, we're adding C, the course we created. C, not S. S was the student in their other class. Okay, that's our add a course done. Let's now do a display courses. And that's going to be very similar, again, to our students display. Okay, so let's go up to the package, right click, new, empty fxml class. There we go, XML. I'm going to call it course display all. fxml, next. We'll create a new controller and we won't worry about CSS at this stage. That's the future, maybe, if we get there. Okay, let's go on and we'll create something very similar to what we did with display all students. So we'll have some controls, we'll have a button down the bottom, and we'll have a text area, which is a multi-line text field. Make it fill up the whole screen just about. We might have many courses. And we'll add a nice heading to the top of that, so a label. And this is display all courses. And we'll come up here and we'll make it so it's 24 again. I like the 24s. And bold. Oops, come on, bold. There we go. And then we'll just recenter that. That's close enough. Okay, so a little bit. Let's allocate some names so that we can access these components in our code. We'll expand the code area down here, and this is going to be courses text area, and return to main menu button. And we're going to add a handler there, handler. I think that's all we need. Control S to save. I think that's all we need. Yep. Looks pretty good to me. And then we want to make a controller, or make controller. There we go. So that re-exposes the latest versions of our GUI components that we've made available. Return to main menu. That's the same as what we've got down here for display students. Return to main menu. So we're going to display controller for display all students. And grab that chunk of code there for returning to the main menu and back up to course display. So we're just jumping around, copying and pasting what we've already done. Okay, save that. And then we're going to add the throws. There we go, that's done. Let's return to the main menu. I'm going to add some initialized code here, which is going to populate the data in this course's text area. So let's do that. So I want to go back down to the students. Display all, going to the controller. Oops, don't want the scene. Let's go to the controller and we'll grab all of this code. So we're just going to adapt this code to what we've got already. So we'll adapt the headings and the code here so it works for courses. So we're just copying and pasting from the initialize method here in the display all students. We're going to copy and paste that code into the display all courses initialize method. Display all courses, there we go. So that's there. And paste. And we'll add the scene font, yep, scene font. And it's not the display text area, it's a courses text area. So courses text area set font or set text, set font, set editable. Bring the curly down to the next line. It's going to be courses found. It's going to be code and name. And I think my code was 10 characters, so I'll extend that over a couple of bits. Chop that. Don't need phone and email anymore. Chop, chop. Bring those over. Okay, so we're looking at the headings there, adding the headings on, course code and course name. We want to look through it's the courses add controller now, not the student add, but the courses add. And it's going to be the courses array list, not the students array list. So I'm just adapting everything over, see? And it's for each course. For each course, not students. I'm just changing the code. So for each course in the array list, which is stored inside the add controller, I'm going to convert it to a string and then display how many there were. So it's that dot size. Okay. And that should be pretty close to it. Query new false, so it's not editable. That should be it. Okay, so we've done what we did in the first two videos in this third video much quicker because we've done it before. And that's the thing with Java and programming. It's like playing a piano. You don't want to sit there when you're playing a piano trying to remember where a B flat is on the keyboard or a C sharp. You don't want you want to know. You'll be able to work it out with your fingers and know. Have practiced so much that your fingers know where it is or your hands know where it is. Okay. And that's when you start becoming a really good piano player, is when you have to think about where's B flat and where's C sharp and look at the keyboard and count down and go bong and then get to the next note. Remember when you start off playing the piano? Bong. And later on when you had enough practice you can just play concertos. It's exactly the same thing with programming. Write a lot of code, explore a lot of problems, solve a lot of problems, explore all the topics thoroughly, and pretty soon it becomes second nature. And then when you're programming, you don't even have to think about the code. You barely have to think about it at all. I've been programming for 4 decades, and I have to slow myself down to do these videos. I have to slow myself down to about a 10th speed or less. I'm not bragging now. I'm being honest because I just program so quickly. The second I think of it, it's out of my fingers. I don't have to think about the code. Okay, I just get into these flow states, and out it comes. And I look around and there's 300 lines of code written, or 600 lines of code, or 10,000 lines of code. Just pours out of you. When you know what you're doing and you don't have to think about each step, where the notes are, that's when you're really going to high gear. So that's what you got to do when you're a programmer. Get lots of practice. Explore, solve, keep on coding. Anyway, that's our courses. So we should have everything lined up nicely here. Let's have a look at the main menu. The only thing to do now is our main menu. We're going to wire up the controller there so that when we type add a course, it's changing to the course add fxml, and we'll add throws sticks to the yep, there we go. And then when we change, remember I said we're saving all these 5 lines of code. Well, just in this class, it's 15-20 already. So so it adds up quick. Having any functionality you can put in utility classes and reuse again, it's going to save you so much work in the future. And then this one was for display all. We're going to the course display all fxml. So course add fxml and course display all fxml. Make sure you get those right. And we've got student add and student display all. Okay, we should be ready to compile and run. Got to add the exception. Throws exception, there we go. All good. And now we should be able to go add a course, and I'm going to type in COIT 11134 object oriented programming. Click add. Course added. Nice. Return to main menu. Display all courses. There it is. So there's one course. Things aren't lining up quite nice. I'll leave that for you to fix. Okay. Let's add another course. And COIS 20256. And this is the objects and data structures, ODC or whatever it's called. Add and return to main menu and display all courses. And there's both our courses being displayed. So everything's working great. We've got our first 4 buttons in place. Add and display for students, add and display for courses. Now we're coming up to the harder stuff. We're going to link these two data structures together. And we're going to have students and the courses they've elected to do, or the courses that they've studied. Okay. So we're going to combine these two data structures into another data structure. How do we do that? What's the best way to do it? Let's find out. Oh, the other thing we'd do is this is part 3, so we've got to update our version number. So let's go back to that scene. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Get there eventually. Open that one. And it's version 0.3. We could, of course, in fact, we might do that in a future video. We could, of course, expose this label here through to our code and allocate it a label, and then allocate this title or version number or both from our code, which would be a lot neater way to do it. We might do that in the next video. Okay. The other thing we might do in the next video, I'm sick and tired of entering the data all the time, so we might even add a little test data button down here that we can add records to the array lists, just to get us started with data, so that we don't keep adding data before we can do testing. Okay. And then when we go live, when we make the app go live, we could just hide that button or delete it. Okay, so thanks for watching. Hope the video was useful. Please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment if you like the video, and look forward to seeing you again in part 4. And don't forget, we could make this series go a long time. We could have file I/O, network I/O. We could link up to a database, SQL Server database living in an Azure cloud. We could do all sorts of things. It just depends on what feedback I get. So it's up to you guys. Thumbs up, comments, some sort of reaction. Let me know you're there, and we can take it from there. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. All the best.